Hey guys, and welcome back to That LP Show. The name of the game is Sonic Lost World. Last time, we finished up Windy Hill, and we were properly introduced to our new Monsters of the Week, the Deadly Six. And for collecting all of the red rings in Windy Hill, we were rewarded with a Chaos Emerald. You can probably see where this is headed. Today, we will be moving on to Desert Ruins. Why are third world countries always the second world in a video game?
Animals are quite underwhelming.
I don't know, that rabbit still looks like it has a little kick left in it.
Violently disappointed.
Told ya.
Care
If
about
anything, you can still toss it in a stew.
master. Do you care now?
Insert SpongeBob reference here.
Next time, bring better animals.
Okay, as we start up Desert Ruins Zone 1, I want to have a little bit of a behind-the-scenes conversation with you guys. Now, you may or may not have noticed that, unlike the previous two episodes of this Let's Play, this one actually is giving you an option for 1080p, at 60 frames per second at that. Now, as I let you guys know in the update video preceding this Let's Play, I don't have the ability to record at 1080p at 60 frames per second, and that's actually not what you're seeing here. That still stands. I can't do that. I can only do 60 frames per second at 720p. And that's all well and good for anybody with a 720p screen. Now, anybody watching this on a 1080p display, myself included, will have realized that when you take a 720p 60 frame per second video and you put it in full screen, it causes several dropped frames, which some people might find strange, especially if they can watch a 1080p 60 frame per second video in full screen with absolutely no problem. The issue is YouTube's HTML5 player. It seems to have some problems with upscaling. So what I did is, I took it upon myself to handle the upscaling on my own. So even though I did in fact still record this at 720p in order to get the 60 frames, I exported the video at 1080p at 60 frames per second. That way YouTube will see it as a 1080p video and it won't see any need to do any kind of unnecessary upscaling, because I already did it. Anyway, I wanted to detract from that topic real quick to show off this new Wisp, the Crimson Eagle. Sorry, I just like the way the announcer calls out the name. Anyway, like I said, this is Crimson Eagle. It's pretty boring. You fly. You go left, right, up, and down until the meter depletes. And if you press the A button, you can actually boost forward in order to, boost forward, and it depletes the meter faster. So it's a pretty lame Wisp, and I can't even think of any point in this game in which it's really required, which, I can say that for most of the Wisp abilities. Speaking of the Wisps, I don't think I mentioned yet that when this game first launched, the only way to control the Wisps were to use the gamepad functionality, either the gyroscope or the touchscreen, which was okay for this one, I guess. Honestly, I'm not one of those people who are ever bothered by motion controls. I actually quite like them. I think I said as much during my Skyward Sword LP. But of course, people pissed and moaned, and one of the features of the big patch that they released for this game is now you can control most of the Wisps with standard controls. And watch out for those flaming Orbinauts that I just killed off. If you ever see them in a group of enemies, make them the priority, because when you get within close proximity, they like to send out their flames, and the flames will encircle Sonic and close in on him. But if you're really quick and you take them out before the flames close in on you, then the flames will dissipate and you won't take any damage. Also, you want to be very careful with those Beetlejuice sandworms, because they can swallow you in one gulp. You will die. You also want to be careful with those spider enemies right there. I think they're called grabbers. I think they debuted in Chemical Plant Zone in Sonic 2. I think they're called grabbers. Not 100% sure on that. Anyway, you want to be careful when they grab you. You can shake yourself out of their grip, but I don't... no. Ah, crap. Anyway, yeah, what was I saying? The grabbers. You can shake your way out of their grip One thing you want to be careful with, though, and I think they may have patched out this glitch, but normally when you're in a 2D section like this, you're locked out of the game's Z-axis. You can't move forward and backwards like you can in a, regular 3D area. But when those grabbers grab you, you can actually end up in the Z-axis when you're wiggling around to escape them, and once you're out, you can actually end up, with the ability to move through the Z-axis while on a 2D section, and you can end up, moving forward and backward and falling off of the platform that you're standing on. They might have patched that out. I'm not sure. It actually hasn't happened to me. I only heard about this phenomenon from Some Call Me Johnny. Also, in those areas where you saw me wall jumping back and forth along those vertical shafts in order to ascend faster, go ahead and just hold the control stick in the same direction the entire time and just keep mashing the jump button. You don't have to move the control stick back and forth. First time I played through the game, I thought that's what you had to do, so I had a really hard time mastering those wall jumps. Like I said, the game does a poorer job of explaining itself, and, it's really hard to explain, so sometimes you just gotta get a feel for it. There are tutorials in this game, but they're a little easy to miss. What happens is an icon with... Ah, crap. See, that's what happens when you don't kill the Orbinauts fast enough. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. When you come by an area where they're introducing a new mechanic, an icon with a question mark will appear on the top center of the screen. A corresponding icon will appear on your touch screen. So if you tap that icon, the game will pause and the tutorial will appear on the touch screen. So it's not a very invasive tutorial system, but they kind of went in the completely opposite way of invasive tutorials. It can be kind of pace-breaking, yes, but that's a tutorial for you. They're not really part of the gameplay. They teach you how to play the game, and in order to do that, sometimes they have to stop the game. There's a very fine balance. If you tuck your hidden system too far away, then players aren't going to know it's there, and then your gameplay mechanics are going to confuse them because they don't see a way, or they don't easily see a way to learn about it. But if you go the opposite direction and throw the tutorial system in the player's face constantly, then you end up on the other side of the spectrum. A good example is Fi from Skyward Sword. Anyway, here we are in Desert Ruins Zone 2, and it is a Mach speed section. Sonic keeps running forward, there is no way to stop him, no way to slow him down. At least in this game, they contextualize the reason why Sonic can't stop running. As you can see by the surrounding trees, he's actually running straight down. Which means no parkour, because if you hit a wall in this area, you're technically not hitting a wall, you're hitting the ground. And, you can't climb over the ground. Hit a wall, you go splat, you lose a life. Fortunately, there's plenty of checkpoints in this level. One problem with Desert Ruins Zone 2, though, and we'll run into this a few times in this game, is because you're constantly moving forward with no way to stop and no way to backtrack. If you're going for the red rings, this can be one of the frustrating stages, because if you miss a red ring, you can't go back. You have to either die or start the stage over again. One feature that I always thought was strange in this game, though, if you exit out of a stage, no matter how many lives you've lost, if you exit out of a stage, you'll get all of those lives back. I mean, pretty standard stuff. If you die, you go back to the last checkpoint. But you could be at the final checkpoint of a stage, and if you get a game over, the checkpoints are null and void. You go back to the beginning of the stage. I mean, it's kind of weird that they give you all the lives back, though, when you exit the stage. You'd think they'd punish you for trying to cheese the game like that, but, whatever, because it makes it easy to do a Let's Play of this game and look really good. I can simply edit out repeated failures by exiting out of the stage and cutting it out at the transition. My life counter will always look consistent to you, and I'll look good thanks to the power of editing. Anyway, here's another member of the Deadly Six. This is Zomom, and he's the fat guy. He likes food. He likes snacks, as evidenced by his floating totem head here, made out of what appears to be a Japanese hard candy known as Kyubi-Rock, which I never actually tried, even when I was stationed in Japan. But then again, I never really did have much of a sweet tooth. But hey, you can make 8-bit Marios out of them. That's cool. Anyway, this fight with Zomom, like most of the Deadly Six fights, is a complete joke. He jumps up in the air, slams down on the totem, and it causes it to rotate. You just run in the opposite direction to keep your footing, and then he'll land, and he'll be stunned long enough for you to charge up your targeting reticle and give him a fully focused homing attack. And he's down in 2 cycles if you're good enough. Yes, Zomom, this means no dessert. What, do you think we live in a world where giant ice cream cones and donuts just float around in the air? That's absolutely ridiculous. Sounds like something they'd put in a Mario game.
Power levels green or bot?
Looks like we're finally gonna see what Eggman's up to. Extractor? That doesn't sound good. Oh god, it's stealing all of the world's Mako energy. I defy you to tell me that that is not live stream. Everybody makes jokes about Mountain Dew, but this stuff is green. Have you seen Mountain Dew? It's yellow. Pour it into a glass. You'll see. If anything, it's Monster Energy drink or the phenyloxylate that you find inside of a glow stick. Honestly, I would advise against drinking either one of those things. Anyway, just real quick, moving back on the topic of how I'm exporting this video. If you have a 720p monitor, you're okay just running it at 720p. This is mainly for people with 1080p displays. It was still recorded at 720p, it's just that moving it up to 1080 will enable you to have 60 frames per second at full screen because YouTube won't have to do the upscaling. So don't expect to see an increase in video quality. And that does not look like it belongs in a desert. What the hell is that? I guess we'll find out next time. And until next time, thank you for watching That LP Show, and have a one that is good.